Welcome to Pints and Quarts, a show presented by Craft Beer Nation. Today is April the 9th, 2015, and our guest this week is in the headlines, Jeffrey Callaway. Jeff is part of the Fermentation Science and Technology program at Colorado State University. Our show tonight is sponsored again by our good friends at craftbeveragejobs.com. Check them out for jobs in the beer, wine, and coffee industries. When we're done tonight, you should register with them and get your resume uploaded to apply for all the awesome craft beer jobs you can see listed there. In the meantime, though, we want you to stick around for our conversation with Jeff, so get your beer in a glass and get comfortable. In fact, while the music is playing, this would be a perfect time to click subscribe on our YouTube, Stitcher, or iTunes channels.
Time now for a look back at the last week in the craft beer industry. Pour a cold one and sit back for an all-new episode of Pints and Quarts, presented by Craft Beer Nation.
All right, we're back, and we're with Jeff Callaway. Before we get to him, we've got a couple of the regulars on here tonight: Gil, Charles, Lola, Randy, myself, Matt, and of course our guest of honor, Jeff Callaway. Jeff, how are you tonight? First.
Quite well, thank you. I hope you guys are as well.
All right, we certainly are. So let's talk about your, obviously the big news this week was on Monday there was a press release that you guys, you got, I don't know, $2 or $3 from New Belgium. They ponied up, and now Kim Jordan was on the show here a couple of months back. We know the quality of a brewer and businesswoman that she is, and the New Belgium folks, they see the way and they see the future, and now they're going to try and help you guys train up some the future brewing class. So tell us a little bit about the grant and what your program does in general.
Certainly, absolutely. Well, to start with the big news, certainly we've been working with New Belgium for quite a while now, many years. We've had a brewing science class before the program, but the gift itself was definitely huge. Half of that was New Belgium, and half was actually from Kim herself for the total $1 million prize. But that money will be used to renovate one of the two breweries that we're actually building on campus here now. But anyway, before we get to that, I guess our program is about 2 years old. It's in its fourth semester. It's a Fermentation Science and Technology degree program. So it's an undergraduate degree program in fermentation studies. That's fermented foods and beverages. We're not really into the biofuels or any of that stuff. So it's very much food and beer. Beer is definitely the capstone, given we are here in Fort Collins, Colorado. And as I alluded to, we've had a brewing science class that was strictly an elective since 2005, just totally organic, grassroots, passion startup class. But that one elective class inspired a lot of passion from students and the local industry here, and now we have a much bigger program. So I can talk for hours. So if you guys want to ask questions, or I will go forever.
There is, fermentation is a pretty broad subject matter, right? I mean, there's beer is what we all talk about here, but there's a farm in Charlottesville, Virginia, here that ferments its own sauerkraut, and I've had that on a couple of sandwiches here in the Shenandoah Valley as well too. You guys focus on all things fermented there?
So it is actually a bit twofold. So there's the fermented food and beverages. So your kefir, your fermented milk products, right? Kombucha, yogurt, actually a product of fermentation. Pickles. There's a lot of traditional ferments. But also we're in the Department of Food Science and Human Nutrition. So we have faculty members that focus on the fermentation that occurs in the human gut and its consequences for health. So actually the fermentation that's occurring within your body as well is also part of our program. But yeah, so we do encompass all of that. So we have food fermentation classes and then a number of brewing specific courses as well.
So do you guys also work, I guess, closely with the chemistry department as well? Because, I mean, we all know beer is a large part science, and especially when it comes to fermentation, when you start talking about different types of yeast and all that stuff, and the actual the chemical process that's taken place during fermentation. Is that something that your department, your sector of your department, do you guys handle that part alone, or do you work in conjunction with the chemistry department to kind of attack it from that perspective?
We're definitely, as you guys probably know, brewing is a very transdisciplinary program. you can talk to Peter Buchart, the head brewer at New Belgium, right? All the things that you need to know to be a good brewer, and it definitely doesn't exist within one department. So we work with engineering departments departments as well as agriculture and business. Chemistry is a department we've recently started working with, not in that context, but actually in providing services for the industry, synthesizing compounds, etc. So from the academic standpoint, we have a core curriculum, but then we utilize everybody on campus where that excellence exists and where we need it to strengthen our program.
So you said you're the fourth semester. Did I get that right?
So this is the fourth semester that the program has been officially approved. Yep.
So what do you see for your future there? Because I mean, you can kind of put a lot of other areas that can come in and take classes on your area. So you see this something that's going to be a long trend, something that people are going to look more and more. Or what's your
Definitely for us, we have a 5 to 10 year immediate vision for our program right now. So right now we're in phase 1, which is building out the 2 breweries on campus, which I guess we'll talk about those here in a little bit. It is implementing the curriculum for the program. So creating a new degree program isn't something that happens overnight. It's taken years, creating syllabi, new classes. We have a pretty novel approach where we're having people from the industry come in and teach and develop some of the higher level courses. So you were asking about coursework earlier. Students actually will spend the first couple of years taking courses in other departments and building up their scientific foundations. So they're taking organic chemistry, biochemistry, physics, microbiology, OChem, etc. And then they can come in and take the more applied fermentation and brewing specific courses. And many of those are being taught and developed by people actually working in the industry, which is a boon for the students. Obviously, you get that exposure, but the industry loves it as well.
When I was in college, I wasn't into craft beer the way that I am now, and had I been, like, I'm so jealous right now that at graduation, some kid's gonna walk across the stage and they're gonna be like, Randy Gardner, Fermentation and Science Technology, and everybody's clapping like, this kid just got a degree in fermentation. Like, I'm so jealous.
You're not alone, Randy. Oh, wait, actually, no, you're the first person that's ever mentioned that to me. They wish this program existed when they were young. But anyway, so phase 1 is definitely, getting our spaces built out, our lab spaces, getting the curriculum in place. Phase 2 is then hiring more dedicated faculty, exploring research, right, building out our administrative arm for this program. We're looking to offer a lot more to the industry than just a talent pool, than just students. So research and then services with our labs, and again, I can talk forever, so I'll go quickly. Phase 3 is really a Fermentation Science Institute, where we create our own freestanding building, pull together a lot of the resources that we utilize from across campus, again, to really focus the level of excellence that we hope to achieve between now and then. And that's where then we're working collaboratively internationally with other brewing schools, visiting professorships, hosting our own conferences, etc. So our trajectory is quite large. And again, I'm giving you guys the 150,000 foot view right now.
This gift from Kim and from New Belgium, does that launch you faster into phase 2 than you had expected, or does it move you into some of those phases?
It basically pays for phase 1. So phase 1 is again building out 2 breweries. Only this gift is paying for or contributing to one of the breweries that we have on campus. So we'll have 2 breweries on campus. One is in the academic building that I'm in here now. We have a small lab that we've used for the brewing science class for the last 10 years, but it's wholly insufficient for a whole program. So we used to have a daycare here in the building. It was a research daycare thing. The university bought a new school, or an old school actually, renovated it, so that daycare moved, which freed up about 3,000 square feet as our new program was coming online. So we are actually building an academic research brewery and a brew lab, and then a little sensory space and a small kitchen. So it'll be a 2 hectoliter brewing system, highly automated, where the students, will be their exposure to first brewing, automation, all of the utilities that go into brewing. Our program isn't just about trying to be a head brewmaster learning to brew beer. It's really everything else that goes into it. It's the engineering. It's, what is a glycol system? What kind of piping do you need? Air compressors, let's talk about that. What types of flooring, right? It's the logistics that make up the entire industry, I guess, if you will.
So you're hoping to get the same kind of support? Are you hoping to get the same kind of support for another food segment as you're getting now from the brewery industry?
Yeah, and we're actively working on that. So again, we've had this brewing science class for 10 years. So our relationships with the brewing industry are just much more developed. And of course, beer is very interesting, right? It brings people to conversation very quickly. The food side, at least here locally, there are a number of fermented food companies, but they're all quite small. So our food side of the program will grow up, hopefully with that sector of the industry as it grows. That being said, there is some large industry here in Colorado that we are actively talking with, and they would like to see our program more focused or have a greater emphasis on their area, their sector of the industry. So we are doing that as well.
I grew up in Pennsylvania, just outside of Penn State University, State College there, and they have a large program for dairy and creamery, I guess. And one of the things that students there do is they make ice cream, they make cheese, they make these dairy products, and then there's a creamery store where they sell them. And you can go in and buy, a cheese that's got this student's name, printed on it and everything else. Right. Obviously, there are different laws about alcohol sales and stuff like that. But is your 2 hectoliter brewery going to be able to produce and sell its product to students and to community?
It's almost like this is scripted. You set me up perfectly. So cheers. The 2 hectoliter system, no, that's strictly for education, research, sensory as it relates to the brewing process, etc. However, that's the other brewery that's going on campus. We have had a bar in our student center since the late 60s, early 70s. That was how our students protested during Vietnam. So we've had a bar on campus called the Ramskeller. But recently, our student center underwent a massive renovation. That bar it's down in the basement, but it used to look out towards the mountains, right? Beautiful sunlight, all of that, a lot of days of sunshine here. During the renovation, that went below grade. So the people at the student center said, what can we put here that's visually interesting and alumni and students aren't going to be upset? We've, through our class, we've spent time in the Ramskeller. The students will go have a beer with Peter Buchart or whatever, right, after class. And so we've worked with them, and they said, how about a microbrewery? Feathered in nicely with our program. The timing worked such that it came online as our program was coming online, or at least conceptually. And so there, I'm finalizing a donation now that will probably be in the news here in a little while. But that will be a 10 hectoliter brewing system. And that will be a production scale brewing, right? So this is more pub size. That's about 8.5 barrels. So the students will learn to brew here on the 2 hectoliter system, and then their experiential learning will be over at the student center. They'll brew that beer will then be for sale at our bar on campus, next with all of our other partners. So Odell's, New Belgium, and Coors, and Anheuser-Busch, and others. Their beers for sale. We have 20 taps in the bar, so our beer will be a couple of those.
So since you seem to encompass so many different facets of brewing, like, would this also be an opportunity for students to learn how to say, like how to price beer, how to account for loss at the taps, different types of bar aspects, right? As it relates to serving beer, they're gonna learn all that there.
Absolutely. That's a huge part of production. So we have a production management class that again is currently being developed and will be taught actually this next semester again by somebody from the industry. So yeah, those the quality portions, ERB, right? I mean, maintaining your supplies, pricing all of that out. Absolutely. It's again, our program is, yes, you learn how to brew beer and do it well, but that's not the sole emphasis, right? That's almost the hub of this bigger wheel that we're focused on.
Do you see anything in the future where I guess the fermentation side starts? Let's say if you get like a really big donation, right, from someone, not named Kim. And like, is there a chance that you guys could maybe develop like your own proprietary yeast strain and start selling that to like home brewers? You know.
Now you're edging into my potential dissertation topics, but yes, they're all. I'm a microbiologist by background, so but yeah, no, there's all sorts of opportunity for sure. Now, would we sell things? I mean, we're this program. So you've mentioned some of the donors of the program so far from the brewing side, anyway, and hopefully, what the takeaway from that can be is that we're very collaborative, much like the Master Brewers Association of the Americas. I equate that that entity with, it's kind of like the Senate in the United States government, though like more agreeable and higher functioning. But it's everybody has an equal seat at the table, right? So everybody's ideas come, everybody gets along. If you guys have never been, certainly if you've never been to an MBAA meeting, come to the Rocky Mountain District one out here. It's I think we're one of the larger divisions, but I mean everybody gets along so well. It's really collaborative. It's exactly what the industry is known for. So our program is modeled after that. And so if we were to develop something awesome like that, then my hope would be that that's something we would just release to the public. So that would not be a source of revenue for us. But
Okay.
And actually, I mean, it's it's academia there. So if you start to make revenue and sell a lot of beer, well, then the people who are donating to you are now your competitors. So let's make the good stuff and
yes.
and pump it out of there for the kids, and then move on. So.
And so our beer will never be sold exclusively, and that actually raises a good point. The beer that's being produced in the Ramskeller by our students and then sold, the proceeds. So we're not going to sell it at cost. That would probably be illegal, but it certainly wouldn't be friendly to our partners. So the proceeds from that beer goes back to the program. So it's effectively a nonprofit brewery. We are not going to have taps out in town. We're not competing at all. In fact, if you were to have an event at our student center and you said, hey, we only want the CSU beer, give us the 1870 Aggie Ale or whatever it is, you will have to buy an equal amount of other industry beer as well.
I have a friend who went to school for restaurant management and for being a chef, and they had a similar thing. They had an actual restaurant in their school, and it was in the middle of a huge office park. So they would have workers come in, for lunch, and it gave her great experience. You got to learn how to handle customers, and they did everything. They did the menu, they did the cost, everything.
Absolutely. We have a restaurant like that on campus here as well. It's at the same student center. In our same department is our, I don't know, something weird's going on here. In our hospitality management program, they do the same thing. They run the back of the house, the front of the house, all of that.
All right. I want to feather this conversation on into some of the news articles that we've got here, and I want to do that with this question, and then this will carry over. And that is, we kind of focus, and we have several pretty knowledgeable women in our groups, in our ranks here at Craft Beer Nation, and there seems to be a plight for getting women representation in craft brewing, along with from every. I mean, we talk about Kim Jordan, who really is at the top, is the pinnacle, but and all ranks of all through there. And I kind of wanted to know, are you finding this to be 76 male students because those guys want to just make beer, or is your mix pretty well balanced?
I mean, it's pretty well balanced. I would say in the program right now, it is more heavily male, but certainly, I don't know the numbers, but I would estimate it's a third female, but it's a very strong female component. So we have head female brewers out here in Fort Collins. So Horse and Dragon Brewing, Lindsay Cornish, who was at Odell's before that, is a product of the brewing science class that we have here. So no, a number of women in the program for sure, and in my experience so far, women often have a better palate than men. And so they definitely bring a lot to the table.
Great. Lola, take us into the news story that you had there.
Well, first of all, when I see Ashley, I'll let her know that you said we have knowledgeable women on our panel, so I'll let her know. And Vicki, too.
Shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, yeah.
Okay, well, a third is about the average. There is an article on a website called dcist.com, And Randy,
DCist.
how's it said?
The DCist.
The DCist. It's the DCist. Okay, and I guess that's a DC area website.
Hmm.
And they did an article called "Brewing While Female." It's about some female leaders in the beer industry. They talked to some of them. One of the places they talked to is Denison's Brewing Company, and the three owners are Julie Baratti, Taylor Barnes, and Emily Bruno. It started in July of 2014, and it quoted one of the owners, Emily Bruner, and this is your quote that you like so much, Randy. "It feels like the white men who are running most of these breweries are not thinking about what non-white men who don't listen to heavy metal might be interested in." So her point is, it's not just white men in the industry. Obviously, there's women, but there's black men and other ancestries. So, you shouldn't be making it for just one demographic. And, but she also cited another problem, though. Even though they are the owners of this business, sometimes they'll still have a group of guys come in and they'll only talk to the one man who works there, the director of brewery operations, Jeff Ramirez. So it's something that even people at the top have to deal with. And yeah. And the article also mentioned, according to the Brewers Association, which is a national trade group, women are 32% of the craft beer market. So, which makes sense because we have an average of 10 people here, and at least 3 of us are women. So, we kind of represent.
It seems that DC area is a little more advanced. It's forward in this when it comes to women and brewery. I think there's a more prominent women base that you would see in most other places.
Yeah, I agree 100% because you can't go to it. Almost can't go to any DC brewery without seeing, women, at the forefront as it relates to either, brewing itself, or as it relates to being involved in marketing, or as it relates to being involved in, the brewery operations part of the business. So, it's definitely, I think that the national microcosm of the female representation in the beer industry can be found here in DC. One of the more popular breweries up here is Port City, and the article talks about how their staff is roughly 33% women, and that aligns precisely with what Jeff was saying. His guesstimation of female involvement is in their degree program there. So. This brewery is definitely doing it right. I think one of the things that they specifically said in the article, Ola, was that they try to market their beer a little differently, right? I mean, when you watch Super Bowl ad, or heck, if you can just watch primetime TV ad and you see a beer commercial, you only see guys. Mm-hmm. And the fact remains that 33% of the people who are involved in beer are females, but yet we only see females serving beer. That's not an accurate representation. I mean,
I think the big thing about this brewery specifically is that they have a conscious decision of being very women and other groups forward.
Yeah.
They're trying to make a stand for it.
And I applaud that. I absolutely applaud that because, like Jeff said, I mean, there's a lot that women can bring to the table. I mean, a lot of these, we've all had bad beer before, right? So maybe if some of these breweries producing bad beer had some females on their tasting panels, they wouldn't put this beer out for us to buy.
Yeah, we tell them no. We'd be like, "You're not serving this."
So, yeah. So Lola, I thought that was a great article, and I mean, I've never been to this brewery before. They haven't even been open a year yet, and I mean, I don't live that far away from they're located in Silver Spring, Maryland. I don't live that far away, so after reading this article, I am absolutely making it a point to get there, check them out, and talk to these females. And I mean, and for this very same reason, I make it a point when I go to bars and I encounter women ordering beer, I make it a point to engage them and not treat them as if I think they're gonna order this saison. Like, I mean, my wife is not a beer drinker, but I've said it before, all the beer that she likes are like big barrel-aged stouts. I mean, I have a friend, Michelle, who the first craft beer that she was Bourbon County Stout, right? So, I mean, to think that they're automatically going to order the saison or order the framboise or whatever, it's just completely asinine.
It's
And
insulting.
yeah, exactly. So beer is about being inclusive, and it's about bringing people together, and that should transcend any gender barriers that may exist.
We're
All right,
pleased
Randy,
to
take us
listen.
into this. We'll try and cover this one quick too. Let's talk about Enjoy Beer and Abita.
So Abita was working with I don't know if you guys remember Richard Doyle. He used to be one of the owners at Harpoon Brewery,
Harpoon.
and he recently sold his share of the company to the employees, and everybody was wondering what was going to be his next move, right? Because I mean, this guy, he's not going to leave beer altogether, right? This guy loves beer, and what he ended up doing with he formed this company, or I don't even know if you'd call it a company, but it's a LLC. It's called Enjoy Beer, and one of their partner breweries is Abita. So Enjoy Beer, they're kind of like an investment company that seems to me like what they're gonna do is they're gonna give breweries an opportunity, or an avenue to sell or to improve themselves. So let's say, for example, if Matt Miller has Matt's Micro Brewery, and he's like, I need to sell because it's time for me to get out of the beer game and start thinking later on in life. Now your only option isn't just selling to AB InBev. You could go to Enjoy Beer, and these guys could either buy you out, or if you were looking to expand and like dominate your region, or even potentially go national, Enjoy Beer is where you would go, where it's like a craft beer alliance that would allow you to get the marketing experience that different people from the industry can provide you, give you the potential capital that you may need to get to that next level where you're going. And Abita is one of the breweries who's a founding partner with Enjoy Beer, and they took advantage of this. And last year, I think Abita brewed something like 160,000 barrels, right? And as a part of this expansion, as a result of being involved in Enjoy Beer, their brewing capacity is going to grow to 400,000 barrels. That's an incredible leap.
I think the question mark, right? I don't know if you know the answer for that, is how they're going to incorporate those new brewers, right? It's going to be a partnership system. It's going to be a buyout system. I think that's the big question right now. How does this whole concept, which there's nothing like it in the market,
right,
how it's going to work from here on?
And that's the thing, Gil. I mean, there were several. I mean, there are a ton of articles that you can find about this specific topic, but none of them really answer this question, right? So it's gonna be kind of like a wait and see thing, like, because I read one article where they said Abita is they do their own thing, and Enjoy Beer does their own thing, but they work together. They've never discussed financials and all that stuff. But come on, I mean, if Enjoy Beer is going to be providing Abita with marketing and capital to expand, they're going to want to have some stake in the business. But that type of stuff.
And they have an equity firm involved as well, so
right,
there's profit interest in there, which it's okay. It's not. I'm not saying that it's bad, but it's a wait and see how that marriage is going to work, right?
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely more to come on this topic, because when I first read it, my first thought was, oh wow, Abita sold to this finance, this venture capital or whatever finance company called Enjoy Beer, and so Abita's, they sold out. Well, I guess they wouldn't be selling out if they sold to Enjoy Beer, but nonetheless, I thought Abita sold their brewery, and then after reading, it's like, oh wait, no, they didn't sell. They're partners. So I mean, I think there's still a little bit to come out on this. I mean, there's still questions that people, I think, want answered, and right now we aren't getting those answers, but it'll come out in due time.
Interesting. All right, well, let's change gears here real quick, and we'll talk about our job of the week from craftbeveragejobs.com. Give me 1 second here. This week it is a Stone Brewing job, and this one is a production data analyst. So the data guys have room for work here too. This is a job description. The product data analyst will establish production baselines and targets that are based on sound analytics. In addition to supporting the day-to-day operations, gather, assess, and present opportunities to help run the brewery operation as efficiently and effectively as possible. Jeff, do you guys run statistics? And I mean, obviously mathematics are important, but this sounds like big data hits brewing.
Well, certainly that's in the future for us. From an education research standpoint, you have to. So we're not presently, but that is on the docket for sure.
All right. Well, and really, I guess somebody has to take a look at the numbers, and Stone is hiring somebody to dive deep and try and find trends and find ways to maximize output and all that other kind of good stuff while still making good beer. Let the brewers make the beer and let the number guys figure out how to best do some other things.
And that's right. Matt, that's how they stay on the edge. You know, I mean, initial thought was, oh, they're killing Stone Pale Ale. Oh, they're killing Ruination. I mean, they didn't just wake up one morning and decide to kill those beers off, right? I mean,
yeah, you're right. Well, let's refocus and try and pare things down. Of course, they killed it and then immediately announced a re-releasing 2.0 version.
Yeah.
So it might have just been a marketing thing all to begin with there. So let's talk about beer releases for this week. Hardywood here in Richmond, Virginia, in Richmond, has a Berliner Weiss coming out, and that is a classic German-style sour Weiss, and that comes out Saturday the 11th. I don't know what they're calling it. I don't know what. I'm just gonna have to try and find some because Hardywood.
It's gonna call Hardywood Berliner Weiss. That's all they're calling it.
Okay, all right, very well. The Hardywood Berliner Weiss.
Hope they didn't pay a marketing company for that.
Yeah, you're
they're
right.
They're actually having a release party on the 11th.
Well, using their name and then the style, they don't have to worry about any kind of liability or any kind of litigation coming down the road. Left Hand out there in Colorado has the Chainsaw Ale Double ESB coming out today. I love the ESBs. Gil and I were talking about one there from Tennessee earlier. I love that style of beer. Sierra Nevada out in Chico, California has got Harvest Single Hop IPA Idaho 7. It comes out tomorrow.
Is that a hop?
Idaho 7.
No,
I don't know, Professor.
I think it's just where they grow. I think where they grow the hops, but not a specific hop.
Where they grow the hop. All right, fairly well enough. Terrapin in Georgia has got Recreation Ale Session IPA. That must just be the release from this year's batch because I see that stuff around all the time. Okay, 2 days ago on the 7th because I just saw it on the shelf the other day. Crooked Stove in Denver. Is that Crooked Stove or Crooked Stave?
Stave.
All right. And Crux Fermentation have a collaboration, a Wild Sour Golden Ale coming out on the 16th. Cigar City in Tampa, Florida has got El Coco collaboration with Five Rabbits. It's a spiced beer brewed with vanilla, cinnamon, toasted coconut, and dulce de leche. That comes out today. Sounds like something I would want to. Ale Works here in Williamsburg, Virginia, has got a Berliner Weiss small batch series. The tap will have black and blue Berliner versions, and randled with blackberry and blueberries. Oh wow, that sounds kind of interesting. And Trogs up in Hershey, Pennsylvania, has got 717 Collaboration Ale. It's a collaboration between themselves, Appalachian Brewing, and Pizza Boy Brewing for the first ever Harrisburg Beer Festival. That is a 7.17 ABV, and they did that because 717 is the area code up there. So I used to live in the 717. So that comes out there. Their beer week is the 24th of April through May 2nd.
Yeah, I think they want to make the Harrisburg beer week like a big thing, so they have lots of plans for the coming years, and this is going to be the first of many collabs.
Well, cool.
So actually, Idaho 7 is a hop. It's grown in Idaho, but it's a hop grown in Idaho 7.
Thank you, Google. I'm Randy.
Yep.
From the list of festivals, we've got North Carolina's Beer Month all the way through April. From the Barrel in Santa Margarita, California, and that is April 10th. Big Texas Beer Fest is in Dallas on the 11th. Breckenridge Spring Beer Festival is in Breckenridge, Colorado on the 11th. Boston Beer Summit is up in Boston the 17th and the 18th. And Okanagan Fest of Ale in somewhere in British Columbia, Canada. The 10th and 11th. What's that?
Pentecoton.
Yeah, that's what Gil said. And Craft
I believe you.
Craft Brewers Conference and Brew Expo America is in Portland, Oregon. We talked about that. That's on the 14th to the 17th. And then Tri-Cities Craft Beer Week, got Johnson City, Kingsport, Tennessee, and Bristol, Virginia, April 4th going on now. It wraps up here on the 11th. So those are the festivals. Anything else you guys want to mention? I mean, when's Brewvival? We got to start thinking about Brewvival next year.
Last week.
Again already.
Last weekend of February in 2015.
And if you're going to Savor, make sure to look for us. The Craft Beer Nation will be at Savor. So
yeah, several of us
come
will
say
be
hi.
crashing Savor this year. Yeah. And that's the first weekend in June. So, all right. Well, much thanks to Jeff Callaway. Best wishes for the growing program and the exciting things that they've got going on there at Colorado State University. We'll check back with him in a few weeks, and when he's got some more grants to announce and some more gifts to announce, and really, it's great to see the schools and the education programs here growing along with his industry, because I've always felt that there are 3,500 breweries out there. I don't think there are 3,500 good brewers. So bringing them out of school, teaching them how microbiology plays a part and how all of these things will only tend to really help the success of the industry grow. I mean, everybody can grow big, but we need to grow good as well too. So thanks again, Jeff, for your time. Until next week, everybody. Our guest, I believe, is Boulevard next week. We're going to have someone from Boulevard on. So find some good friends, find some great beer, and mind those P's and Q's.
This has been Pints and Quarts, brought to you by Craft Beer Nation. You can show your support for our podcast by subscribing to our content on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, or our website, craftbeernation.org. Thanks for listening.